Are you having a good Christmas? You are. Man, you look sharp. You all look sharp. You're welcome. You're welcome very much. Are you having a good Christmas? You are. Are you excited? You are. Are you having a good Christmas? And you, and you, and you, and you. Who's having a bad Christmas? I see a hand back there. Are you really having a bad Christmas? What? All of a sudden, I've got several people confessing to it. Only one raised a hand. I am having a lousy Christmas. I hate Christmas. I really do. Because you guys from the 21st century, you love to put on these Christmas plays, these living nativities. Have you ever been in one?
No. Yeah.
Yes, no? You got to make up your mind.
Yes.
Yes. And who were you?
Mary.
Mary. They always get the sweetest girl to play Mary. Oh. Either that or the preacher's kid or the DCE's kid. I don't know.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever been in a Christmas play? You have? Who did you play? Who did you play? You forgot? Mary? You were Mary? What about you? Were you Mary?
I was angel.
You were an angel. I should have known. Were you Joseph? You were. And I bet you were an angel. You were not an angel. You were not then and never have been an angel. Were you a shepherd?
Yes.
Yes, a shepherd. They always get the cutest kid to play Mary. And they always get the best behaved boy to play Joseph. And they always get the shy kids to play the angels or the shepherds. And they get the kids who are outgrowing this to be the wise men. But, yes, it is true. Of course it's true. I know what I'm talking about. I've been around for 2,000 years. You can tell.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Ushers, we need... Yes, I know what I'm talking about. So they always get the cute kids to play Mary and Joseph, the shy kids for the angels and the shepherds, and the kids who are outgrowing it to be the wise men. And who do they get to play the innkeeper? They get the brat. They get the kid who every week is trouble in the youth group, who every week in Sunday school, somebody's got to call the parents to come in to they got to go in the sanctuary and say, will little Bobby's parents please come to the Sunday school or to the nursery? We have a problem. And they always portray me, because I'm the innkeeper. They always portray me as the villain, the bad guy, the evildoer. And they always portray me in the same way. The brat, I'm sorry, the young child comes out on stage and says something like this: "There ain't no room in the inn, go away." Or if there's a moment of stage fright, it's just something like this. And that's it. And I got to tell you, it wasn't my fault. I didn't do anything wrong. How many innkeepers, motel owners do we have here today? Raise your hand. Nobody. How many people are staying in a motel? How many people have ever been to a motel? How would you like it if you showed up and you went to your room and you unpacked your bags, and then the innkeeper came up to your room and knocked on your door and said, You got to go. I got a pregnant lady out here. She gets your room. You're out of here. How would you like that? How would you like it? You'd probably go to another motel. All the other motels are booked up. Take my word for it. Yeah, but you wouldn't like it, would you? That's your room. You would like it? No wonder you played married. Yes. Man. It wasn't my fault. There I was. I'm running a business in a town that nobody ever heard of until after that night. Bethlehem, barely on the map, and everybody's coming to town because of the government. And I understand that you have trouble with your government in the 21st century still. Is that true? Yeah. They make everybody go back to their own hometowns and register for some census because they're counting people. I don't know what they wanted this information for. I didn't care, but hey, it was good for business. Nobody was avoiding this. They were all coming to town. They were all registering for this census, this counting of people, and the place was booked. And I get a bad rap because some guy named Luke wrote this book, and in it he said, she, Mary, had the baby, wrapped him in cloths, placed him in a manger because there was no room in the inn. Man, I have been living this down since the first century, but it wasn't my fault. And I got to tell you, at no point did I ever act like the bratty kids in these Christmas plays and say, there ain't no room in the inn. Get out of here. No. I went to the trouble of putting Mary and Joseph with my most valuable possessions. You know what my most valuable possessions were? No, my animals. Yeah, because now you know. The animals, of course. Today you've got your Lexus or your Volkswagen or whatever it is you drive. Back then we had the animals, and they were valuable. And we took very special care of them. And we made sure they were in a safe place. So I went to all the trouble to say, Mary and Joseph, by all means, you can stay in the barn. And there's hay, and it's warm, and they're animals. They're lowing. They'll write hymns about that one day. And it was a good place to be. And you today in the 21st century, you think, the animals, they stink. Well, yeah, they did stink, but we preferred to think of it as aromatic. And the manger, and I do have to admit, the manger, some of you think the whole building was the manger. The manger was where they fed. That was like the trough, like y'all have seen your cowboy movies from the last century, the 20th century, and I've seen them too. They're like a horse watering thing. And that's where they put in the trough, the manger, where the animals were being fed. And that was because that was a safe place to put it. It was a logical place because that's where all the hay was. And that's where you could be sure the animals were not going to step on the baby because you don't want that to happen. And everybody was being very responsible, taking care of this family and the baby. And I don't know why in these Christmas plays they always portray me as the bad guy. Because I'm not, am I? You got to think about it. You think I might be the bad guy? You would have made room for them. It's iffy. Yeah, the jury's out. How many of you think I was the bad guy? Ah, yes. How many of you are asleep and not paying attention? Let me tell you something, though. This business of me being the innkeeper and telling people there's no room in the inn. You look at me as the bad guy, but let me tell you something. I'm looking around at some of you, and not to get personal or anything.
Sure, man.
But I know you're not one of them.
Thanks.
But I think some of them may be the bad guys.
I agree.
Yes, you agree. I don't know why you agree, but I think they're just as bad as the plays portray me, the innkeeper, sometimes, because while I said there's no room in the inn, there are a lot of people who say there is no room for Jesus in my life. I don't have time for Jesus. Now, I know you're here and you're making time for Jesus. That's a great thing. But the problem is you can't just show up on Christmas Eve and make room for Christ in your life on Christmas Eve. You got to make room for Christ all the time. When you're in school, and when you're on the playground, and when you're at work. And trust me, some of you kids will someday get work, we hope. It'll improve by then, I'm going to guarantee you. And you got to have room for your life, for Christ in your life, in your marriage, and in your family, and at mealtime. And a lot of you, I know, are so busy in the 21st century. You got this thing called the internet, in which you're Googling stuff all the time. And all that ever does is make you want to Google more stuff. Because you Google something, you find out something, and then you say, well, I think I'll Google something else. And you just sit there at your computer for 14 hours, and then you think, oh, I haven't even started work yet. And then you go shopping, and it's wonderful to get gifts and to give gifts. But you get so busy that I know in your life, some of you don't have room for Christ in your hearts. And I know some of you don't have room in your life for Christ when it comes time to pray or to read the Scripture or to serve God or to feed the homeless and to help the poor, because there's always something else to do. Something else has already gotten into your life before Christ. You don't want to be like me. Trust me. You will never, ever live it down. People write plays for 2,000 years about what a bad guy I am, all because I said, there's no room for you. You don't want to be like that. You want to make sure to make room in your life for Christ.
Amen.
What better night to start than tonight?